Hi, Al here with a quick update with respect to my Google Meet attendance extension, version 1.2.6. One of the first changes that I've made in the extension is I've added this little push pin icon in the top corner of the dialog, and when you click on that, the dialog stays visible regardless whether or not your mouse is on it or not. That's more important for me when I'm doing my testing or when I'm trying to do a video like this and I don't want the dialog flashing on and off. The dialog itself is largely the same with some key updates. The drop-down menu in the top left corner allows you to define the names of your classes so that you can have a list of students associated with all of those classes. In the past, you would use the add option down here, but I've actually changed that to a manage option right now, a semantic change. But when you do select the manage option, or if you click on this little icon here that allows you to list your classes, we now have a whole new view associated with the classes. And so you can come into this view and I can select a class, and I can actually now change the name of the class. Previously, you had to delete the class and then recreate it, which was a bit of a pain in the derriere. You can create a new class, add the name, click the OK button, and let's just do that. We'll call this one test, and whoops, easy. There we go. There's the icon, click it, and now my test class has been added to the bottom of the list. With that one selected, I can also actually delete that class by clicking on this icon here. The dialog also shows the number of students are in the class, which is maybe a nice touch. So with this, we can add new classes, edit the class. This folder button allows you to import names from a backup that was created previously, or perhaps from an HTML report that you've generated. So the names somehow got messed up and you want to just bring them in. Well, that's what this folder icon does. This button will clear all of the names, so it will delete the names in the list. And as before, this one will delete the entire class. And this button will allow you to back up all of your class lists to a separate file. While we're on these different views, the history view is the same. Both of them now have a more consistent view, and I've moved the buttons, the actions, up to the top of the dialog, so it's a little bit easier to see. And I've also capped the height of the this field, and I can make it higher, taller, shorter, but I can't go below a certain point so that you can still see the key things on the screen. The Meet the history dialog allows you to recreate the HTML and CSV reports from a Meet that you had in the past, in the case that you accidentally lost the HTML file or the report. So you can click on the buttons and then click on the HTML button here, and it will create all of the HTML files for you. Or if you click on the disk button, it will create all of the CSV files. Coming in the future will be the ability to summarize the reports into a single file, as you can already do in the HTML reports themselves, but this will just allow you to do it from within the extension. You can delete entries if you want, and you can also back up all of the history information, just in case one of my past users had the hard disk go on his computer, so he lost all of the saved classes. And unfortunately, when the hard disk is gone, there's nothing to do to recover it. But if you had had a backup copy of the information, then it would have been easier to resurrect things. The Settings tab has a couple of changes in it as well. In particular, I've added a new option to auto-save or auto-add new students. This effectively locks your class, something that a number of teachers have been asking for. They don't want to add any more names after a certain point in the semester, quadmester, as it is. And so with this button unselected, this checkbox unselected, the new names will appear in your class lists during your Meet, and they will be included in that HTML report. But when you shut things down and come back the next day or the next week, whenever you see your kiddos again, those added names won't reappear in the list unless you specifically add them to the list. And I'll show you that in just a moment. When you have the button selected, well, then it works as the extension will work as it did before, that anyone who is new in the meet will automatically get added into the class. And that might be something that you want to leave checked at the beginning of your quadmester or your beginning of your semester when your kids are joining the class. And once your class list has been stabilized, well, then maybe you want to deselect the button so that the lists are locked. The other thing that I added at the bottom, here's a way to manually back up your classes, but I've also added an automated backup, backup. And so right now, and the default is no, it's not turned on, but you can set things up so that once per week, the information in your class lists, the information in the history are saved to text files automatically for you on your or into your downloads directory, and so you have that information there. And so you can set that to be none, weekly, or monthly as per your wishes. So this is the meet report. These little guys, these little icons are a little bit new, as is this one that's going to appear in just a moment. We'll see, you see in the background there that Al Kahi joined the meet. He's not on the list right now, and boom, there this person has been added into the list. Now, at the moment, because of my settings options, this class list is locked. And so if I just leave things as is, this yellow entry, which indicates that it's a new person in the list, an unexpected person who has been added to the list, that entry will get deleted when the meet ends. If I want to add that person permanently to my class, well, then all I have to do is click on this little green button here. The check mark says, yep, the person has now been added to the class. These other little checkboxes here allow you to mark students present when the extension doesn't mark them present. The use case, or the way that I'm using that right now in my situation, is school I'm at, half the kids are in school one day and the other half of the class is learning from home. And then they alternate the next day. So Monday I see cohort A in the classroom, cohort B is at home. Tuesday, cohort B is the classroom, cohort A is at home. But I have my kids in meets every single day. And if I only had the kids joining the meets from home, well, then my attendance reports would show that kids were there Monday, but not Tuesday, et cetera, et cetera. And so I have these little check boxes here so that I actually mark my in-class kids present, even though they're not joining the meet, but I'll mark them present. And so they'll appear in the reports as being in class. The other thing that's been added is this little participation button. Number of people have asked for this, and this is just really a way of saying that, oh yeah, Al answered a couple of questions. He was keen, he was involved, and rather than just kind of keeping it in your memory, you can say that, yeah, they were good. If you accidentally click someone and you don't want them to go, well, if you hold down the shift key, my 2 changes from 1, changes to 0. If I want to quickly change from 4 back down to 0, that the person really didn't participate, hold down the control key and it changes back to 0. And that information now gets saved into the reports as well as being displayed here in the UI. Other than that, the UI has been, or the strings in the extension have largely been turned into variables, which means that much of the UI is already to be translated. And so I've gotten some people who have translated the strings to Italian and French. There's lots of it's been Italian translated to a variety of languages, including Spanish, Swedish is a new one, Czech is a new one as well, Bulgarian, Romanian, Portuguese, Dutch, German. So there's lots and lots of language, Chinese, that have already been started. But those additional strings that I've inserted into the UI and also into the HTML reports, I need some help from those of you who speak those languages far better than I do. I will, in the worst case scenario, trust Google Translate to do things for me, but those probably will not be semantically correct. A number of fixes, bug fixes, most notably the undefined class names that were appearing in the drop-down menu. That whole new view for defining the classes was really my way to resolve that problem and make sure that that it doesn't come back. I've also put some error checking code into the update so that when your class lists are being checked over before using version 1.2.6, if the class name is missing, then it behaves better rather than showing it as an undefined entry in the drop-down list. And probably last but not least, one of the most common questions I get with respect to the extension is why is the extension not recording attendance accurately? And the sort of simple stock answer is you're probably not using Grid View Fix. I know that the tiled layout in the Google Meet UI should keep all of the students on the screen, and I've tried using it, and recently I've said, forget that, I'm going back to the Grid View Fix extension. The Grid View Fix extension, of course, is the one with the green waffle. I've turned it on now, and so when you've got the Grid View Fix turned on, all of your kids are going to stay on the screen all of the time, and my extension will take attendance from them properly. If you choose to use the tiled layout, and so let me just move myself over the side here. The tiled layout, click the vertical ellipsis in the bottom right corner of the screen. It says change layout. I'm going to change the layout. And in the layout, you can choose between these options. In theory, the tiled layout will give you the same effect as Grid View Fix, but in my experience, and in spite of what this says here, that the selection is saved for future meetings, it hasn't always been a sticky setting for me. And most certainly the number of tiles that I've selected isn't sticky. And so if you are going to use the tile or these layouts, use the tile layout, but make sure that you've got the number of tiles set properly and don't trust that it's going to be there the next time. My experience with this, however, is sort of flaky results at best in terms of keeping things on the screen. And as Google says at the bottom, depending on window size, selection is not saved, and the maximum number of tiles, it just doesn't seem to work. And if someone presents their screen, or if you present their screen, your screen, the number of tiles doesn't necessarily seem to be respected, and so you'll have kids falling off the screen, and when they fall off the screen, Google removes all traces of them, so my extension has no idea whether or not that they are still there in the meet, and so marks them absent. The other reason that attendance may not be accurate is if your kids are using their mobile phones to use the Meet app on their mobile phones. It appears that when they connect, they will appear in the dial on the screen and say, yep, I'm here. But if they change to another tab or another app on their phone, for whatever reason, the way that Google has coded that Meet app is it appears to lose the connection. They may still be able to hear what's going on in the Meet, but they fall off your screen. And so you don't know whether they're there. I don't know whether they're there. And so the extension assumes that they've left. And so, if your kids are using their phones from home, let them know that they've got to keep the tab open. Otherwise, I strongly recommend that you say, yeah, we'll give the tile layout a try. And if things aren't working properly, then quickly revert to Grid View Fix. As always, if you have questions, concerns, what happened there? I lost my screen. There we are, I'm back. If you have questions or concerns, please feel free to get in touch with me. Please send as much information as possible. If you're sending me a file or a screenshot, please add some context as to why that information is relevant to me. I get tens, hundreds of messages in a day, in a week, and it's hard to remember why someone is sending me something. If I don't get back to you, please be patient, or maybe send me a gentle nudge. Last but not least, before I go, and I forgive me if this sounds a little bit mercenary, but a number of people have asked if you are so inclined, would like to do so. There is a PayPal link on the help page. Click the blue icon blue question mark icon, there's a PayPal link. And if you're willing to or would like to contribute, well, then that would most certainly be appreciated, but by no means is it expected. For those of you who have contributed already, thank you so much for your generosity. Certainly appreciate it. And I'm thrilled to hear the feedback from people all around the world who are using my little extension. And I get tremendous joy from that. Thank you very much. Stay safe. Take care. And now I have to find the button to shut us down. There we go. Take care.